Well, what are we going to do today? Well, I've been thinking that a lot of you want to start from the basics, right? So I thought I'd do the basics of Japanese black pine for novices. One of the problems that I have with this kind of program, sometimes it gets a little boring, but I think there's just enough of you just getting started that we want to know the basic fundamentals. So let's get started with that project. Okay, I could rotate it, and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't have any difference. It's basically, well, there's a slight curvature, but basically it's just a seedling. Okay, this came out of the seedbed. I cut the taproot like we talked about in the past, and then put it in here. And it's been about a year's growth. How we tell is, see right here? So it hasn't got into the next season. Next season is coming out here. This will come out, and there'll be a cluster around here, like that. Okay, so what do we do? Well, we go, wow, here it is. We should fertilize these heavy, not to the point where it's going to kill it, but read the package and get real close to the maximum amount, and we'll get this to grow as much as we can before we get started. So if it was in your pet stage, this is your puppy, newborn puppy. You can't even start to train it yet. Having said that, I see people that wire these and then try to put movement in it, which is okay. But if you really want movement, then what you could do is just tie it like this, right? But I think at this age, just leave it alone. Okay, this one here, it has a little bit more growth on it. So you could kind of spin, and it does look different from all sides. Now, this is probably our first branch keeper, and then you'll dip down like this. This one here is just a sacrifice branch. Don't think we'll need it, unless we end up in the future cutting it off here and then go for something dramatic. But other than that, anything that's lower, just keep it on to help fatten that area. I wish we had some little growth down here, but we don't. So we're going to keep that. And then up here, there's a good side branch. And then we have our current apex. And here we will soon remove the center candle and then take one of the side shoots and then make it go like that. Once again, you could wire it, or you could put it in here and then do that for movement, right? But I think it's a little too early for this. I like to wait maybe one more season before I get around to doing that. Oh, this is probably 6, maybe going on to 7 years, something like that. Now it has some girth, and then you can see that the movement was created with the stick. It's probably, this is going to be the front. Okay, let's review what we do when we are using stick. So you take the stick and you drive it into the ground so it's nice and steady and solid, right? And then you have to tie it really tight at the base. And then as you go up, you can force the branches to get the shape you want. Okay? And these green ties are really good for this because, well, the jute will work because it'll deteriorate before it does damage, but these stretch. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that probably I did this about 2 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, because now it's really tight. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and take it off, see if it's holding or not. But that's how you use the stick method to get this movement in the trunk. So I'm just going to cut it loose like that, and then cut this loose and cut this loose. And when you remove it, people go, wow, how do you get all that movement in there? It definitely wasn't with a wire, that's for sure. So I'm looking at this. It's not bad, but I wonder if it's better if I cut this off and go with this. See, from here to here, not much taper, right? See, from here and here, this and this looks very similar in terms of thickness or the taper. So if I cut it here, then it moves again, right? And then create a new apex up that way. And then this is most likely the front. Remember, we were talking about the concave. It has the concave here. This branch is a sacrifice. We don't need this at all. But I don't need to take it off right away either, right? So I'll keep that. But the more I look, the more I'm thinking I should go ahead and take this off, because now the growth isn't coming, and you know, pines will tend to put most of the energy up on top, so it should catch up right away. Okay, so let's do it. Do you want it to look okay now or great in the future? It looks okay now. Most people won't even complain about that, but I'm more particular. See? And then look at, we have a side branch right here where we want the branch. So I'm quite happy with that decision. Okay, but this one here is bugging me a little bit. What I could do is to tone it down so that it's there, but not so vigorous that it kind of takes away. That helps somewhat. But in terms of the line, yeah, okay. A little bit of side note. On the pines, if you have these very active green, you cut it here, it'll resprout. Just visualize there's a bud at the base of every one of these. Now, if it was already gone like this and you cut it right here, this will just die back. So I'm thinking this one here, I still think it's too big. I know it's a sacrifice branch, but it kind of hinders from the overall presentation. So I'm thinking of cutting it here, and there's still greenery, so it should repop. Okay, so you can see what I was thinking, right? Now, over here, we got this really nice branch that should become the branch of the future. But for now, I'm going to keep this I'll probably keep it more like this, and hopefully you'll transfer the energy here, then I could take this off. So it's never about just a simple solution for now. You do something with the anticipation of the next move, right? So anyway, I think over here probably would look better if it was pulled. See this angle, right? In the future, I could plan it like this, or take the time right now and pull it down. Then we don't have to deal with this in the future. So by doing these steps while it's still the material, then you don't have to wire much at all. Okay, review. Tie it at the base, and then you take this, and what you should do is pull down slightly more than you want, because there's a tendency for it to spring back up. See, like that, right? That probably was not necessary, because I have a good one here and good one here. Well, but sometimes bad things happen, so it's good to have this option. Certain times you don't want to leave too much option because you end up with unnecessary growth. But at this stage, I think having these 3 options right now is better than just cutting it off. I've got a problem over here that's going across. I think in the future I'll just cut that off. And then this one may or may not stay. And of course this one here. So anyway, I think this is about it for now. So this is very basic, right? And this is about getting on to 7 year. Kind of age the tree. Right here versus up here, it's starting to form a bark. They say it'll start to form the bark about 7 years. So it's getting to that point where it's 6 and 7 years old for this part here. And then these are much younger. But I think I start to like this tree now. So this one and this one has to do the work to fatten this area so that this transition or this taper is a little more realistic, right? Right now it's sort of similar. Worst comes to worst, I could cut that off and go like that, but I think it was kind of extreme for this tree at this stage of development, because there's plenty of way to get around to fixing that. But anyway, hopefully these very basics one is helping some of you that's getting started. Some of you that have been in the bonsai for a while, probably somewhat boring. Well, you know, as a presenter, we want to do things that are going to be kind of striking. But what people need, especially when they start out, is some of this very basic stuff that could be somewhat boring. Well, anyway, I'm trying to find a balance between showing off my talent and some of the very basic stuff you have to know. So this has been very basic for you just getting started in bonsai and the black pine. Good bonsai, good black pine takes minimum of 20 years, and then if you want greatness, maybe more like 40. So you better learn to stay healthy. I'm trying my best too. I wasn't going to get Jackie, but she came to me. And one of the things that I was reading in my AARP magazine was that if you have a pet, you tend to live longer. So I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy longer, including eating my dark chocolate. Anyway, this is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon.